Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show. And we got tons to get to today from the terrible NBA Finals that's going on. Shouldn't have led with that. The Rays fall short on another great comeback last night. The stadium vote looks like it's going to go through, at least according to John Romano. Brady inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. If you're waiting for him to say anything about the Bucks, keep waiting. That's never going to happen. Luka Doncic needs to lose weight. Where else do I need to go with this? There's the U.S. Open is underway. The College World Series is going to be awesome with the Gators and Florida State in it. Both teams just loaded with Tampa Bay talent. That's going to be fun. We're going to get to it all today. Scott Carter will join us live from Omaha, where the Gators have miraculously played their way into the College World Series. The Seminoles are there as well, obviously, as one of the favorites, but it's going to be fun. So we'll get to all of it. And I'll say good morning to you, Nick Geddes from On3 Sports. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. And where, oh, where is Mr. Aaron Rodgers? Where is he? Where is he?
That out? What dark room he's in, or what ayahuasca?
Is he under McAfee's couch or something? I don't know where. Can you imagine being? New York's
been kidnapped by the FBI.
Literally, New York and New Jersey sports talk radio over the last week, I'm sure, has been interesting on that one. But
so we don't like they refuse to tell us, and they won't say. I know Robert Salo, I saw him say that it's unexcused, but the communication has been good. He's told us where he is. They know what he's doing, but they're not going to tell us. People aren't going to find out. I mean, seriously.
Also, why would you even say that? Like, if you know it's unexcused, I feel like I wouldn't even say that to the press. Like, I feel like I would just be like, all right, he's not here today. Like,
well,
it's all good.
Is it excused or unexcused?
But when you say unexcused and everything, then it just starts the whole hoopla. But
it's fourth grade reading,
right?
Dear excused absence. So yeah, so much to get to today, but we ain't going to start with Aaron Rodgers. That's for damn sure. And joining us today, Scott Carter, as I mentioned, from Omaha. Casey Hudson will join us as she's covering the NHL Finals, and we'll talk to her about the latest Lightning news. John Cooper getting the big nod for Team Canada. And Chris Lugo will join us at 11:45. Maybe you can tell me how to get I'm slowly coming out of this head cold.
I can hear it.
Whole thing it's been kind of kicking my ass all week long. So summer colds, the way it goes. All right, let's and I kind of want to get into this topic today with you, Nick, because I was looking on Twitter, and there seems to be a lot of conversation about who's to blame now. Who's to blame for this Rays season? Is it ownership? Is it the front office? Is it the players? Like, who's to blame for this disaster? And, they lose again last night, 4-3. Again, they had the lead at least for a little bit. And Cody Bellinger comes back with a big 3-run homer in the 8th inning. He's been getting hot. And these big-time sluggers are never perfect, right? They're never perfect, but they make big changes in games, right? They make huge changes in games, and they get paid a lot of money to do so. And yes, you can always make the case that they're overpaid. It's baseball. It is what it is. But the fact of the matter is, when you see teams having huge success, it's usually because they have a Juan Soto, an Aaron Judge, a Cody Bellinger. These guys have playoff chops. They have postseason chops. They've been big in the biggest moments, and that's what wins games. And I know the Cubs are no better really than the Rays. I get it. But they've won a World Series more recently. They spend money on players, at least they have for the most part. It's just different. So when I you know me, where I'm pointing the finger of blame, and that's always going to be at the top. The most important thing is ownership. Now, is it Stu's fault that Wander Franco went back to the minors? Wink, wink. No, that's not his fault. It was the organization's fault that they didn't go out and make the necessary moves maybe to make up for that. Yeah, Yeah. And that's where it all starts. And it's hard to prove this because we never know, except that very telling moment from Eric Neander this offseason when he was being grilled by the guys at MLB on Sirius XM radio. And I forget who the player was. It was a big time hitting free agent. And they said, this guy's a perfect fit for you guys. You got to go out and get him, spend the money, blah, blah, blah. He's perfect for blah, and listed all the reasons why. And Neander's like, I agree with you, but you're talking to the wrong guy. You're talking to the wrong guy. And that just tells you all you need to know. They're completely handcuffed from a payroll standpoint, no matter what they say in press conferences. They're never going to tell you that they are, but they are. And if you're a general manager and you can't spend over a certain threshold, then the amount of deals that you can make are severely prohibited. Eric Neander has two hands tied behind his back, not one, but two. He's a brilliant guy. I think the front office is tremendous. They've done an unbelievable job with what they've worked with. But there comes a time when you just can't be playing on such an unlevel playing field for so long. So you can nitpick each and every move that they've made and say, this is front office, this is front office, this is front office. And I get that. You got nothing back for Blake Snell. Well, why didn't you just pay him? Other teams, when they get Cy Young award-winning pitchers, they don't let them go. They pay them. And are they going to be great the rest of their career? You don't know, but you pay them. Well, he won another Cy Young. Shocking development. I mean, it's so if I'm ever going to blame anybody, I'm going to start right at the top. It's hard not to.
I think it's important to point out that these same players that are not getting it done this year, Yandy Diaz, despite the fact that, again, it seems like he's coming around, Randy Arozarena, Brandon Lau. Let's just focus on that core of players because obviously Isak came in the last year or two. Josh Lowe came up the last year or two. It should be noted that the Rays, with that as the core of the lineup, won 100 games in 2021. And then, at the wild card in 2022, where they won like 86, 87 games, whatever it was, and then won 100 games again last year. It was a discussion of, okay, they're good enough to get you through the regular season, but then when they get to the playoffs, that's where you miss having those superstar bats that some of these other teams have, right?
Right.
But these guys have always been able to produce for you in the regular season. And to me, there was no necessary. Maybe you could have seen Randy coming a little bit because, again, you look at the way he ended last year, but at the same time, are we thinking he's going to just bottom out completely and hit 170? No. Did we think Yandy Diaz, a year after winning the batting title and hitting 330, was going to be hovering around 250, 260 at this point through the season? No. Even Brandon Lau, did we bank on him probably having injuries? Yeah. But even when he's out there, did I expect him to be hitting just under 200? Realistically, no, I did not. And then you can't predict a Josh Lowe injury before camp even starts. And I think that's completely thrown off him this year. And then you already knew that the rest of the lineup, especially after the Wander Franco situation, was going to be a little bit light. I don't know how ownership is necessarily to blame for some of these players that have produced for you for the last 3-4 years, just completely hitting a wall collectively this year. Like, it's one thing if one guy hits a wall, but for all of them, collectively, those three players in particular who are so important, I guess throw Josh Lowe in there too, 3-4 guys right in the middle of your lineup to all hit a wall and be slumping simultaneously. I don't know how in the world you plan for that and what you can do to combat that. Because we've never really seen the Rays. Think about it. We've honestly been very spoiled. We haven't seen a Rays team really hover around 500 like this since 2017, where I think they went 80 and 82.
Yeah.
Like, we just haven't seen this in a long time. And this is like the most they've ever had, like a nice little core of players together here. But they're all just, like I said, simultaneously slumping at the same time. I don't know how you combat that. It is what it is at that point. It's like either they got to snap out of it or you're going to have to start putting them out there in trade discussions.
I think that's where it's going, especially with Yandy Diaz. You're seeing Paredes play first base, screwed up a play last night on on a grounder, made a nice play on the ball, but then had to throw to a moving pitcher against the grain. I mean, that is a play that you're going to see Freddie Freeman, who's been playing first base since he was 2 years old, make easily.
Right.
But a guy that's never played there, that's going to be a tough.
And remember that's why the whole conversation about, even though Junior's injured now, people were like, oh, well, and I've said it too, I'm guilty of it, I'm not going to act like I'm not, you can put anybody at first base. Well, if the Rays knew that they had something with Isak Paredes at first base, they probably would have tried to move him over there by now, and you see kind of what it looks like. Not saying he can't grow into that position,
right? But
it doesn't make sense for them right now.
He's made some nice plays. He's made some nice plays there, but there's going to be some boots.
Right.
I look, Yandy's making $10 million next year. And as much as we love him, that's just not something I see the Rays sustaining. Because he lacks. See,
here's the
power.
thing between him, Randy, and Bilal, even though he's the oldest of the three, I would much rather keep him than the other two. Like, if you told me like a hierarchy there, I would rather keep Yandy because I feel like his skill set, even though, again, the struggles, and again, like I said, he's been turning around lately, his skill set to me is more unique to the modern day MLB. And I think his peak has been higher than those two other guys, in my opinion.
I would agree, but I would say I'd send all three. I think this team needs a major makeover. And I think the core of this team has kind of fizzled out. I don't see any growth in this team. And maybe it's just because they've had such a horrible start and all those guys you mentioned, and that's all true stuff. But I would also say last year was kind of, lightning in a bottle too. I mean,
guys were punching above their weight class.
No question. So this is kind of a regression to the mean.
But here's the other big thing that I didn't mention, and this is a big thing. The Rays have had mediocre to below average offenses before.
Yeah.
But they got around it because they could pitch better than everybody else. The Rays are 25th in team ERA right now. Yeah. And if you haven't noticed, they're throwing batting practice to the rest of the league when it comes to their starting pitching and their bullpen. I mean, Savali gives up another home run last night, but again, other than that, he was good. But the bullpen, another home run given up. The bullpen, how many home runs have they given up this year?
Clevenger's been fantastic.
Recently, so, like, the process, recently, like in June, he's been like a little bit spotty, I would say, with his command. But the process from Cash yesterday, of course, you go to one of your big guys in that moment trying to protect a 2-1 lead. Cody Bellinger's a really good player. Looks like he kind of hung a slider a little bit, and a good player is going to connect on that. Yep. But no, they how many? I wish I knew how many home runs this bullpen has given up, because that's the biggest problem too. Part of it. It's one thing if you can't hit, but when you're pitching, which this team has been so predicated on for years, is also in the dupes. I mean, what do you have? Not much.
And of course, a lot of the pitching woes start with Shane McClanahan, Jeffrey Springs, and Rasmussen, right? So it's kind of that's why it was really weird when Sternberg said at the beginning of the season, like, this is the year that we're going to go for it.
I told you at the beginning of the year, this wasn't the year. This was the year that maybe they could piece together their whole 90-win thing again. But realistically, they ain't competing for a world championship this year. They just didn't have the guys.
I'm convinced that probably from a baseball standpoint, Neander was like, we need to blow this up and start over. We need to get rid of all the guys, anybody we can get something for, and just start over with another core of players. But the fact that the stadium deal was going down was no way you could do that. There's no way you could have sold off even for Stu. That would have been a little bit much, because he knows the end game is more money. It's always about money. And the end game is, if we do that, we're not going to get this deal. We're probably not going to, if we sell off all our players, we're not going to get this deal for the stadium and all that comes with it.
Yeah, I think,
and that's my opinion.
Well, there's two ways, and I was going to say there's two ways to look at it, like, of what they should have done in the offseason. Like, on one hand, you could see, okay, World Series 2020, and then 3 straight defeats in the wild card where they won, one game?
Yeah.
I want to say. So we already could have been like, okay, they're on a downward trajectory. You just lost your all-time generational player. Your 3 big aces are all on the injured list. Like, is this a pivotal moment to try to reset ahead of time and focus on 2025, 2026 and go from there. But I think we had this conversation briefly in the offseason, and it was the way I was looking at it was obviously we had no idea what to expect with Randy Arozarena, like I said, how he was going to do this year. I thought that would have been a hard move, a really hard move to explain.
Right.
For a franchise that's gotten a lot of flack for offloading their faces of the franchise quicker than we want them to, right?
Yeah.
And I felt that getting rid of Randy in the offseason, remember when his name was out there, I said that's a very hard move to explain to a fan base coming off 100 wins, despite
100%.
the playoff disappointment.
100%.
So there's 2
100%.
sides of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would have crushed them for it, probably. But as we looked at this in hindsight, now hindsight's always 2020. Yeah, you probably should have sold high. But you're thinking Randy Arozarena is going to have another good year. He's ascending. But what could you have gotten for him? I'm not saying that's a move you should have made in the offseason. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that from a baseball standpoint, if you really looked at this season, and maybe, Randy's not a guy that would go. I think, I would have said maybe after the vote would be where you would make that move. But again, if you just take that stadium thing away, I think from a baseball standpoint, it would have been a different approach from Neander. But again, to me, it all goes back to ownership. And so much of this could have been a very positive thing for the stadium, the situation for long-term growth for this team. All of this, if you put it all on the field, off the field, could have been such a positive thing moving forward. But again, it's a divisive thing where the stadium is going to be, blah, blah, blah. And if you read, if you saw, I watched some of the council meeting yesterday, and there's a lot of negativity towards the deal. Although I think there is a kind of feeling that from most of the board members that they probably have enough votes. I mean, there are definitely, I think, 3 no votes. There are definitely probably 4 yes votes. And I think there's still, maybe 1 up for grabs. But there's a lot that the county still has to vote on this and everything else. And I think as we focus on this deal, it's a lot about what's in the deal. And we've totally missed, and nobody talked about this, the whole bigger concept is, will this work? Will this work? You're investing in something that if it doesn't fill up the stadium, it's going to be a huge, disastrous loss. And where is the evidence that this is a good investment? It's completely like nobody's talking about that. Where is it? Is this what's best for the baseball team? Is this what's best for the fans? Is it going to work as a development project? And I think most of the research and the data would tell you that's a resounding no. But here we are again, making the same mistakes that Miami made, and it's a divisive thing instead of something that could have been very, I think, unifying for the fan base and better for baseball. And I think.
Well, I don't. But here's the thing: the whole financials of it. I don't know if the casual Rays fan really cares at this point. Like the way I think the casual fan looks at it, and maybe to an extent I look at it, is it's been 25 years of this. It's been an entire lifetime worth of time for me.
Yeah, I get it.
Talking about this situation, it's like at this point, screw it, whatever. Like as long as they just stay in the Tampa Bay area, that's fine. And if they don't care about the attendance increasing because of all the other perks of the deal, then so be it. It is what it is. Then we have
the Marlins.
At least for people like you still got to go to the same location, but it'll be a little bit nicer for you when you go to enjoy a game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's some sentiment to that, but I think we'll look back and say that was probably not the best idea. As Thomas Casper says, Stu is a toxic owner with the uncomfortable comment: sell, sell, sell. James says when you have no one that can hit in the 6, 7, 8, 9 hole, pitcher can pitch around the core. Yeah, that's true. We've seen that. And no big stick in the middle that you really fear. Like nobody in there that you really fear. James says it's a no-brainer. This is ownership. Their pitching was why they won, Nick. It wasn't the core. That's true. I think
that's why I brought that up. That's part of it.
But they did score a lot of runs last year.
Yeah, like
They
last
just
year was
scored
the
a lot of runs
outlier
last year.
compared to what they've been. But like I said, like there's been years there where I've never been like, man, the Rays have a juggernaut of an offense, and their pitching got them by.
Yeah. So, and as far as last night goes, again, that's a game the Rays could have won. Some sloppy play here and there. They give up the 3-run homer. And it was interesting, though, that the ninth inning, here we go. Caballero with the home run. Just hits a bomb. Brings it within 1. Then what? Rortvedt singles up the middle.
Yep.
Taylor Walls, I'm like, who do we have on the bench? Is Taylor Walls, should he be batting here? And he draws a walk. And then Bilal comes up and has a chance to do the same thing that he did the night before and flies out to medium left field, and the game is over. But it kind of felt like it was going that way.
Yeah, the Rays have been like this a lot this year, where they limp by through the entire game, and then in the ninth inning, it's like all of a sudden the sticks come to play, or alive rather. And it's so funny how it ends up in the same situation. I was surprised. Like if you're correct counsel, I wouldn't even put Neris back out there for the rest of the series, to be honest with you. I can't believe he went back to him the night after. And maybe there's something to, he's my closer, I'm going to show confidence in him. But when Caballero hit that home run, I was like, oh, the Rays are going to find a way to win this baseball game.
Yeah.
They're going to find a way to win this game, or at least get it back to extra innings at the very least. But the chances of Brandon Lau doing the same exact thing like that were probably very slim.
Yeah. But didn't happen. So Rays lose. Let's hear from Kevin Cash post game.
All right, I think we'll start with the bottom of the ninth here. Probably felt good about your chances. Cabby with the home run, a couple of walks, and then Brandon Lau at the plate. What were you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting how that inning unfolded from what took place last night. Brandon, probably the right guy to have up there. Looked like he got a split and just missed it. Popped it up to deep left center, or drove it out to deep left center. But look, a lot of good at bats again. I mean, Rourke hung in there, Cabby to get us within 1, Walsey to lay off those pitches that were close to walk. So, like the way we went about it, we just came up short.
And then Clevenger there in with 1 on, the hit by pitch, and then Bellinger, the 3-run home run. He's been good for you guys to start the season, but what did you see from him in that inning?
Yeah, I mean, Clev's been really good for us. I think that was the 3rd cutter that Bellinger had seen, and he got it. It didn't look like a bad pitch, middle down, but Cody Bellinger's a really good hitter and makes adjustments, within the at bat, and it looked like he kind of went out and made sure that he was going to try to catch that one on front, and he did.
Pretty happy with what Savali did. Seemed like he had all his stuff working, got out of a bases loaded jam earlier in the game.
Yeah, I was, and we talked about before the game, a couple of those balls maybe coming up short from leaving in the ballpark. I think that kind of happened today, but he pitched outstanding for us, gave us every opportunity to win the game.
85 was a good number for him at that point.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're balancing. We want somebody to have success, feel good about it. Felt like where they, was it Swanson that was coming up, like after that base hit right there, good with, he wasn't going back out for the next inning, for sure.
Seemed like his velo up, his curveball was pretty sharp. Is there anything else that kind of made him maybe more effective tonight?
No, we continue to. I think his stuff has been pretty in line and pretty consistent. I think maybe he had a little bit better luck this year, this game than maybe a couple other ones. But this has been 3 in a row now that he's thrown the ball pretty well for us, giving us every opportunity.
Let's come back to Cleve. I mean, he had that really good run. I think he allowed 1 run in 20-something outings. He gave up a couple the other day. A hit like last night. Anything different at all?
No, I don't think there's anything different at all. I think, he was pitching really good. He continues to pitch good. If Kleb can get the ball in the zone and throw strikes, his stuff is going to be pretty dominant. And, here as of late, they've got a couple hits, and today was a big one with a 3-run homer.
You guys lead the majors in most home runs allowed. All their damage tonight was on home runs as well. Is there any sort of conclusion you can draw from that, or any kind of similarity you're seeing that's led to the trouble with the home?
Well, we got to continue to work to try to prevent them finding the barrel to hit it out of the ballpark. There's no doubt. I mean, we really preach to our pitchers, throw strike 1, throw strike 2, then look to expand. I think offenses are aware that we're going to be committed to the zone early in the count, but I still think that's your best chance to have success rather than pitching around or falling behind really good hitters.
Walls made a couple of plays and kept the game close. Talk about his defense.
Game changing. He's, in my opinion, he's the best defensive shortstop in baseball. We're fortunate that he's back, and that's why he's going to play there and continue to play a lot of baseball for us because of what he can do defensively.
Siri had another good catch.
Unbelievable catch, yeah. Coming in, we were debating which one was better. I'll be curious to see kind of what the reports say, but from last night to tonight, both great jumps, and really like the way Jose played. You know, the ground ball single to center, busting it out of the box. He's capable of doing a lot of game-changing special things, and I think we saw it tonight.
And just real quick, Randy looked like he was fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
He'll play tomorrow.
And did you hear anything on Springs? That looked pretty clean.
I did not. I haven't heard a word about it
6
yet.
batters, 1 hit or something. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, he hit on a couple topics there. Siri had a great night with the double and the home run, making some incredible catches. So he's starting to pay a few dividends. You know, I tried to get rid of him earlier in the season, but
now we need him because him and DeLuca are going in completely opposite. Johnny DeLuca is
really bad. They stole
he looks like he's swinging a sword. Like, I don't mean to be like disrespectful at all, obviously, but it's what it looks like. He looks like he's swinging a sword. Like, he's just not even close to making contact. And sometimes he's trotting him out there in like 5th in the lineup. And I'm just like, man, I know you need the extra outfielder, I guess, but you know, you sent Jonathan Aranda down for this? Like, yeah, that's the one thing I don't get. Like, why is Aranda back in AAA? Why is he back in AAA? And of course, he hits a home run like his first night back in AAA. Of course he did. I know he can match AAA pitching. I need to know if he can hit major league pitching. And when he was up here, maybe the average didn't look good, but some of the underlying stuff looked really good. He put good at bats together and was hitting the ball hard. Like, I don't get it. If we're trying to like not move on necessarily, but like see what these young guys have, then why is it like we get them up here for 2 weeks and then they're back down? For Taylor Walls?
But you saw what he does defensively.
That's what he came up for. I know that. And I'm not saying Taylor Walls doesn't have a place on the team, but I mean, let's not act like the Rays have so many hitters that are so good right now. Like, it's like the biggest logjam to figure it out.
You don't have the luxury of a 187 shortstop.
I mean, because Taylor Walls is not going to give you anything at the plate.
No, you're right. And that's if you have a well-balanced team and your ERA is good and obviously your ERA will be better.
The problem is they got too many issues where if you prioritize one thing, you're going to open up a wound somewhere else. Like, they just don't have anything that could just all-encompassing just fix everything. They don't have that player.
And I think it's dysfunctional because you don't have those big bats in the middle. You just don't have them. And that's every good team has them. I mean, it's just that simple. They cost money, and the Rays are always going to be fighting that uphill battle. They just are. So I think part of their success has, made people numb to that fact. You know, it's even though they've had very little postseason success.
And aren't they, to an extent, the outlier in regards to baseball over the years of the way they
forever,
operate? Because teams try to operate like them, and they fall flat on their face.
Yeah. Some other comments here. John Hill says, good morning from Omaha, College World Series. John is going to join us tomorrow. And we have an FSU and an UF fan out there that will be our correspondents for tomorrow.
Fan of both?
Katie and John, will join us from the CWS parking lot in Omaha tomorrow. We got Scott Carter here coming up in just a little bit from a journalistic standpoint. Rick said, trading Randy difficult to explain to the fan base? ? Emperor Stu Nero laughing while playing his violin. Yeah, normally. Why do you think we had such a big payroll, like a huge payroll this year? Because there's more money to be made. There's more money to be made. It was a calculated gamble. He's not going to do that while the stadium votes are up, because then there are people saying, well, he never spends money on the players anyway. He gets rid of all the players. So, yeah, that's one way to get him to spend money. Dangle that carrot out there. What else we got here? Nathan says, I live in Bradenton, attend a baseball game every couple of years, and I have no issues with the Trop. I love how easy it is to get there. I love the AC, have no issues. I am dedicated to football. I get that. Listen, nobody's saying we don't love the AC there. It's location. That's it.
Well, he had the earlier comment here. Do you really think the stadium location is the issue? The dome is the issue. If no dome, the heat and rain will be the new issues. Rays fans will have new excuses to not attend.
No, it's all about location. I mean, St. Pete's a great place. But it's not a great place for a baseball park. We've talked about this a gazillion times.
Right.
If you don't know, Nathan, there's 2.4 million people within a 30-minute drive of downtown Tampa. There's 600,000 within a half-hour drive of downtown St. Pete. Simple as that. 3 times more people to come to your park makes a huge difference from not to mention ownership and all these other issues for people to stay away. All right, we'll take a quick break. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Get those pit bulls at the Jeeves Law Group to work for you, and they will represent you aggressively and get what you need. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Go with the firm that is here, has offices in Tampa and St. Pete. They're local. They know the local landscape of the legal world, and that makes a difference. Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. And Hydrate Heroes. I got the new flavors, by the way. Tropical Punch is fantastic, which I'm enjoying this morning. There's an elderberry passion fruit one that is fantastic as well. So we got the new flavors out. Go to tryhydrateheroes.com, and they'll send you the 3 new flavors for free. And while you're there, go ahead and buy a 30-pack, $29.99, much cheaper than the other hydration drinks that have tons of sugar in it. Only 5 calories. Tastes great. All the good stuff, none of the bad stuff. NFL players, Olympians, all choosing Hydrate Heroes. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion, the Tampa RV Show Exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you were thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
JP here for my good friend Thaddeus Bullard, also known as WWE superstar and global ambassador Titus O'Neil, or as his kids call him, Dad. I'm excited to share that the Bullard Family Foundation is partnering with Tampa Well Activated by Tampa General Hospital and Revealing Truth Ministries to host the celebration of all celebrations for the real superstars in our community, the Dads. Everyone's invited to join us for a free celebration on Father's Day, June 16th at the Mid-Florida Credit Union Amphitheater in Tampa. Doors open at 9:01 a.m. with food, entertainment, games, and lots of surprises and guests in store for the remarkable dads out there making a difference every day. And you know, if Titus is hosting it, it's gonna be big. Bring the whole family and make sure you register early to celebrate with us at the Superstar Dads Celebration. Now, you need tickets for the event. It's free, but you got to get your tickets at BullardFamilyFoundation.org. That's BullardFamilyFoundation.org.
Let's go.
right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we await the arrival of Scott Carter. We was in a different time zone, so we may have screwed up our time zone stuff here, but we'll see if he pops up and we'll talk a little Gator baseball. It's been known to happen. Absolutely. We got plenty of other stuff to get to before we dive into that. By the way, this College World Series, before I get started on that, you just heard the ad for the Bullard Family Foundation. I got my tickets. It's going to be a great day on Sunday. You guys head on out there with your dad. Take your dad out there. Just go to the BullardFamilyFoundation.org. You can get your tickets through there. There's a link. Real easy. They're free. They're going to have food, marching bands, a great program honoring dads, some very inspirational stories. And if Titus is involved, it's going to be a fantastic program. So head on out there and be part of the fun and the celebration for Father's Day. I've never done anything like this before on Father's Day. I think it's really cool. Celebrating father, which I think is something that we desperately need in this country. Kudos to the NFL and some of the other leagues that are now putting out PSAs about fatherhood, which, when you think about it, is probably the most important thing in terms of young kids growing up. And I don't mean to minimize what moms do, but you need two parents, in my opinion. Not that you can't do it with one. Not saying that's not. My mom was a single parent. It's just it's great when you have two, and if the father stays in the home and stays engaged with the kids, the outcomes are infinitely better. That's what the statistics tell us. If common sense doesn't tell you that anyway, that's what the stats tell us. And so much of society's ills could be solved if men just stepped up and did what they're supposed to do as dads. And that's what this is all about. And we're celebrating that. And I think it's much, much needed. So just go to the Bullard Family Foundation and do that. All right. So I was looking at some of these rosters. I'm not going to sit here and say that I watch a lot of college baseball during the regular season, but this postseason has been awesome, has it not? Crazy.
It has. It has. Electric atmospheres all around.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Knowles roster. Mason McDougal from Wiregrass Ranch, John Abraham, one of their key pitchers, freshman, Jesuit, James Hankerson Jr., another freshman, Berkeley Prep, Lance Triple from Sarasota, the whole damn team. Marco Dinges had a couple home runs in the Super Regional from East Lake. David Barrett, another pitcher from Sarasota. Who else we got? Andrew, no, not him. Got lots of Jesuit players on here. Ryan Dennison from Jesuit. Jamie Arnold, another one of their big pitchers, their left-hander, also from Tampa Jesuit. A lot of big-time players on here from the Tampa area. It's going to see a ton of them in the College World Series there. So it's going to be kind of a local event. That's the Florida State roster. And you also have a bunch of Tampa kids on the Gator roster. So let's take it live to Omaha, where our good friend Scott Carter from Gators.com is joining us here. What's up, Scotty? How are you?
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
Fantastic, man. I thank you for getting up early and joining us here from Omaha. Such a special place. I got to cover a couple of College World Series, and it's an atmosphere unlike any other. Would you agree? You've been there a few times.
Yeah, I have been a few times, JP. Did not expect to be here this year. I had to change my summer plans because the Gators surprised me a little bit. But no, the city does a great job of putting on the event. And, it just seems to kind of get a little bigger each year. Every time you come out here, something's new. I noticed last night when we came into town, now there's a big Ferris wheel outside the stadium. So that's
there is.
Yeah, and there's a big there's a big fan fest that goes on all week, and you can see the people starting to arrive into town today, so it's pretty good.
Is that your phone dinging?
Yeah, it is, man. I'm on this text thread. My bad. I don't know how to turn it off.
Yeah, if you can turn it off, I think we might have to do that for the interview. If you want to pop out and pop back in, you can do that. I think you got it, though, unless they're done. Oh, the dreaded text thread. Which I have one. I have one with my college. Go ahead, pick up your phone if you have to. We'll remove you for a second here if you need to do that.
Okay.
Feel free. Yeah. and then we'll pop you back in. I have a thread with my Florida State fraternity guys and football games. If you got the notifications on, you are toast. I mean, it is non-stop. Ding, 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 ding. So I think that's what he got caught up in there a little bit. So before we get him back, I see him still working on that. As I mentioned, Robert Satin from Tampa Plants on the Gator roster. Of course, their biggest gun of all of them, Jack Caglione from Tampa Plant as well. We got, I think Brett Curlin's kid's on this team as well. Yeah, Cade Curlin from Berkeley Prep is on this team. So tons of local talent in the College World Series that we will see here. Let's try the chat. We got you back, Scott?
I'm back. I've escaped the text thread. So
which one was it?
They were talking about their breakfast plans, the work crew out here. so that's what that was. So
what did we decide on? What did we there you go. What did we decide on? Something with steak and eggs, because I'll tell you the best steaks I've ever had are in Omaha.
Oh, man.
The stockyard's right there. It's the freshest beef. It is freaking unbelievable.
That's what we had last night, guys. We got into town and had a little staff dinner at this place called Omaha Prime.
Yes.
And it was very, very good.
Oh,
so
that's the place. That's the best steak I've ever had in my life. Omaha Prime. Absolutely fantastic. So I was mentioning while you were doing that, the Tampa flavor of this team, starting with Jack Caglione. How do you pronounce his last name?
Caglione.
Yeah. He has been like unbelievable in the middle of that lineup. Just talk about his season and what he's done for the Gators.
Yeah, I mean, he's the best two-way player in the country. I think won the award yesterday. He was up for other major awards this season. The guy has 33 home runs for the second straight year. The first player in Southeastern Conference history to have 30 homer back-to-back seasons. He's one shy of the school record, and he also pitches. And he's a good pitcher. He's up in the high 90s fastball. Got a changeup. He still needs some refinement in that part of his game. But as far as a hitter, this guy is going to be one of the top 2 or 3 picks in the major league draft because of his potential as an offensive weapon in the big leagues. And he gets a lot of attention for his hitting, but the guy's also a very good defensive player for being a 6'5", 250-pound first baseman. So he obviously sets the tone for the lineup. And he's one of these guys that despite his stature, he's a good clubhouse guy. All the guys like him on the team. And I know he really wanted this shot at the tournament, in his last year. He's only a junior, but we all know that this is going to be his last stretch with the Gators. So I think it's good for college baseball. It's certainly good for the Gators that he gets a chance to kind of showcase what he can do in Omaha one final time.
And if you back up a little bit to how the Gators even got here, was it been a week now, I guess? The game against Clemson that went 5 hours? I mean, it was something crazy like that. We had just the most insane catch that I think I've ever seen in college baseball for Clemson to keep it going. But then eventually Florida gets them an extra innings. Just walk us through that environment there. That game was at Clemson, right?
Yeah, that was at Clemson on Sunday. And, guys, this is, like I said earlier, this is a Florida team that, quite frankly, I didn't see here. They got into the tournament as one of the last teams. They finished the regular season 28-27. And now they've won 6 of 7 in the postseason tournament or the NCAA tournament. And it happened with that going up to Clemson on Sunday, winning 11-10 game. That was what got them to Omaha. And I mean, I've covered a lot of baseball games in my career, major league and college, and that's as good of a baseball game as I've ever covered. And the catch that Nick alluded to, the Canarella, the center fielder for Clemson, with what was on the line there, that catch he made, that is
unbelievable.
That was one
after he just hit the 3-run homer to tie the game.
Yeah, I mean, that was just an amazing couple innings for that guy. But Florida, we've seen teams do this before, you just don't see, and they have this kind of resiliency that comes out of nowhere. That's kind of what the Gators are showing right now. They did get down to Clemson in the 13th inning the other day. They fell behind. They came right back and got a a 2-run double for the number 9 hole hitter, Mike Robertson. So that's what happens this time of year with some teams that pull off special things. You know, I think back into major leagues, and you think of, I don't know, the 06 Cardinals. Remember those guys? They won 83 games.
Yeah.
David Eckstein won World Series MVP, the former Gator.
Yeah.
And it's just sometimes you just have these weird teams that figure it out at the right time, and that's what Florida has done right now.
And they had to beat Georgia, 2 out of 3. Georgia, one of the top teams as well, just to get into the tournament, right, in their last regular season series.
Yeah, they had to go up to Athens, and they were really on the bubble at that point. And they did take 2 out of 3. It was a comeback win in the last game of the regular season. I think their strength of schedule probably what got them in. They had the toughest strength of schedule in the country, and they're battle tested. So they're going to open up against Texas A&M out here. And, you know, they beat Texas A&M 2 out of 3 in College Station during the regular season. So that, I mean, they played well against some big teams. They just were unable to really find consistency during the regular season, and they've gotten some of that in the postseason with their young pitching finally growing up a little bit, some clutch hits, a guy like Ashton Wilson who came out of nowhere, and he's being productive. So, again, it's kind of what it takes that this time of year to do something special.
Hey, tell me about some of these other Tampa kids, and I don't even know if they're producing or not. I'm just looking at the roster. Hayden Yost, outfielder from Sickles. Who else? We got Ryan Slater and Liam Peterson from Palm Harbor, Calvary Christian, and East Lake. Who else we got from Tampa? Cade
Curlin.
Cade Curlin,
He sets the tone as a leadoff guy. He's battled a hand injury, but a very good player. He's starting to hit the ball hard again. Liam Peterson, he's expected to be their starter out here in game 1. He's a freshman, as you mentioned, from Palm Harbor. He's one of the guys that I think, you know, it just took him a while to learn to pitch on this stage. I mean, he's got all the talent in the world. He's going to be a professional pitcher, but it just took him time to kind of, you know, adjust to this level. And he's done he didn't have a great start at Clemson, but before then he'd had three really good starts in a row. So those are some of the big guys for Tampa. You mentioned Ryan Slater. He's a veteran guy who's been up and down this year, but I think if Florida's going to, you know, put it together and win this thing, they're going to have to get something out of Ryan Slater out here. So, yeah, they do. They've always recruited the Tampa Bay area well, and obviously Caglione's the big name from down there this year.
Here's my question. This is what I really want to know. Since we have a full 8 teams, all in the SEC and the ACC, so a lot of, I guess, Southern presence, I guess is the way I'll put it, in the College World Series. So with that being said, where do you think Florida stands in the Rocco's Jello Shot Challenge this year in Omaha? Do you think Florida is one of the contenders to win this thing? It's a stacked field.
Yeah, it is a stacked field. LSU's not here, so I think it's more of an open field this year, guys. As LSU, when they're here, it's hard to beat them, man, because they bring so many people out here. But I think Florida's going to stack up well against Virginia and Carolina. I think they'll handle the ACC side of the bracket. I think they're going to have to
fighting words.
I think they're going to have to worry about maybe Tennessee because they're going to have a lot of people out here. My colleagues last night bumped into Peyton Manning in the hotel lobby. He's already here. So you know he's going to be here cheering on the Vols. So yeah, it's a good question, Nick. I think maybe I'll have to go down and do my part one day.
So the brackets are such that we have FSU taking on Tennessee. Tennessee is the number 1 overall seed.
Tennessee's number 1 overall seed, number 1 ranked in the country. They're in the opposite side of Florida. Florida's in the Texas A&M bracket. That's who they open up against. And really, the other bracket with Tennessee and Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia. I mean, that's a tough bracket there. Tennessee and Florida State. That's an interesting first game to me.
Yeah, it's very interesting that FSU drew the number 1 overall seed. Very interesting.
I said something else there, JP.
I don't think we could get bent over anymore.
Who's broadcasting this?
Every super regional game, 11 o'clock, noon for FSU. It's like if the NCAA gets their hands on FSU, it's just like, okay, here, have some of this. have some of this. But
well, I
whatever.
know FSU obviously had a great season, and they really handled Florida during the regular season.
Yeah, they did.
So, it's going to be. I would love. I'm always for the FSU Florida battle if it came to that.
How cool would that be in the final, huh?
Yeah, I would love to see that best of 3 series. And, obviously with what Florida State did in the regular season, I think a lot of people would have them as the favorite. But you got to get there first. But, yeah, FSU's, Tennessee and FSU, that's just from a baseball perspective, that's an interesting matchup. Just a lot of great players going to be on that field.
Yeah, I saw the Tennessee coach do some rant about something like I guess they were disrespected in some way. He's a pretty fiery dude, huh?
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's revitalized that program. It's one of those things where it seems like you either love him or hate him. Tennessee fans love him, obviously, but he's got a little bit of a football coach in him, guys.
Yeah.
He brings some energy that you're more accustomed to seeing in football than baseball.
Interesting. Well, it's going to be a very fun series. What any news, anything going on out there, weather-wise, or anything else we should know about?
Weather out here is so unpredictable. Last night it already hailed here, so
it hailed.
We had a storm come through last night, and I heard all the racket on the roof. I'm like, what is that? They said it's hail. So but hopefully there's nothing gonna. I don't know of anything that's gonna disrupt the first day out here. But there always is some kind of weather system that comes through. But otherwise, I think it's just teams are starting to arrive. They have a media day over at the stadium this afternoon, press conferences and stuff. So it really gets rolling more this afternoon. But and if you stay out here, you're going to be out here for about 10, 12 days.
Yeah.
JP, so
first time I went out there, literally ran out of underwear.
Real quick, Scott. I have
for 2.5 weeks.
real quick, Scott. I have an off topic from baseball question, but because I'm a UCF alum and obviously UCF is coming to play Florida this year. So I don't know if you saw this little tweet that caught a lot of traction on X this week it was a UCF fan account or something. And because, you ask everybody that's like, oh yeah, like a UCF fan. Oh yeah, we're going to go to the Florida game. And this guy put out there it's going to be close to a 50-50 split between UCF fans and Florida fans. And, I think rightfully so, Florida fans were basically like, yeah, that ain't happening. And I've been in the swamp many times and I'm like, can you just enlighten the viewers, for a Florida home game, even if they're playing Florida State, Alabama, it's still heavily at least 95 or 90% Florida fans in there.
Yeah, I mean the tickets that sell out from away teams, I think it would be about 8,000 if they all sold out. So yeah, the stadium holds 90, so it's about 10%. Obviously, I'm sure some UCF fans would probably get their Gator buddies who might not be able to make the game, and they'll get some of those tickets. But it will still be a predominant Gators crowd, yes. But you know what? I mean, UCF, it's ever since they won the national championship, guys, I mean, it's a different program.
Yeah, you like those FSU 13-0 rings too? That's fantastic.
Yeah, yes, you gotta market these days.
That's right. They were 13-0. That's absolutely true. Before I let you go, though, baseball's huge in Florida, being in the College World Series. Obviously football is football, but the most celebratory athlete on the University of Florida campus right now is the great Parker Valby.
Yes.
This young lady has taken the world by storm. What is Gator Nation? This is incredible. If you've not seen this, she just set the record in the 5,000 and the 10,000, I believe, out at the national championship. I'm guessing she's going to make the Olympic team, right?
She's certainly going to be.
She's the Olivia Dunn of track and field, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now she is. I mean, her obviously stature has exploded in the last couple of weeks with what she did at the NCAAs. But she's been on our radar for a while because she just kept doing amazing performance after amazing performance, and I think she's also from Palm Harbor, from that
East Lake
down there. Yeah. So she's from the area. Chris Harry, my colleague, did a big story on her a couple weeks ago, and her high school coach down there. It's kind of typical with a lot of these runners. They don't really know what they can do until they apply themselves, and she was kind of like that. And then she got serious about it, and now look at her. And what makes her so unique, guys, from just the athletic standpoint, is she just keeps getting stronger as everybody else starts folding away. She's running her best at the end of the race. And, you just don't see that in distance runners.
No.
And after she gets done with these races, she walks over to ESPN and does these interviews where I'd be like on an ambulance stretcher, man.
Right. She's not even breathing hard.
Yeah, she's not even breathing hard. So she's obviously got some genetic factor that makes her a great distance runner. And I think it's going to make her probably some pretty good money in the NIL and just the Olympic age. So, but yeah, she's a unique athlete and certainly made her name for herself at the NCAA championships.
Oh, well, we'll see. I guess the Olympic trials are coming up. She'll be part of that.
Yeah, they're this summer, and obviously she'll be right there. Her numbers should get her on the U.S. team. I know that's one of her goals. And distance running, it had its heyday back in the 70s with some of those big time runners.
Yeah,
it doesn't get a lot, but I think what makes this one unique, a lot of times they're foreigners and Americans don't attach to them. But I think she's got some qualities that will help her, and I think get her some recognition.
Yes, she does have some of those qualities. Go ahead, says she's a smoke show. She's got millions of followers. It's crazy. Nice young lady though, very nice. She doesn't look like an incredibly elite athlete. I mean, you would never even think, oh, that's the 10,000 meter record holder in NCAA. It's like no. Yeah, it's to watch her run, I'm like, she's not even breathing hard.
No, that's the most amazing part.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane. All right, Scotty, good stuff, my friend. How can everybody find your content?
Just FloridaGators.com, or if you're on X, it's at Gators Scott. That's where I hang out a lot. So,
and on the text thread. Have fun at breakfast.
Text thread, yes.
Tell Chris to when you're doing the interview, not to text you 15 freaking times.
That's right.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Yeah, go check out that article Chris Harry wrote about on FloridaGators.com about Parker Valby. Really, really good.
I didn't even know. Like I saw that video last week or whatever it was. I actually didn't pay attention to the fact that she was wearing a Florida logo on her shirt. I had no idea that she went to Florida until you just brought it up.
Yeah, Eastlake. I mean, we just talked about all their baseball players, but Parker. I mean, it's unbelievable. Watching her run is just like insane. Like there's nobody near her when she's running. Like at the end of the race, there's nobody near her. She's shattering all these records, but she just looks like a little slightly built blonde girl, just cruising down the track. Like it's running down Bayshore on a Saturday afternoon.
And even, with baseball, like Caglione being the biggest example of, a Tampa product, like he went to Plant specifically. I mean, what is it about that little region there in South Tampa that just produces these players, man? Like Plant usually seems to get like the top end of that level.
It starts with Palmacia Little League is what it starts with. The little leagues down there just produce these players. There's great coaches, Palmacia and Bayshore Little Leagues. That's where, my son played in that very early on. And it's serious business, man. It's serious. There is a legacy of just really good coaching and great programs. Yeah, and it just when the level of expectation, and I've seen this, in my career in certain pockets of high schools, and it's almost like a feeder system. Like you have the people at the top,
right?
That are in many of the, I'm trying to remember the Plant baseball's coach's name, but it's escaping me right now. But it's not just him; it's like all over Tampa Bay. I mean, I just read off all those programs. I mean, it's insane how many players Tampa Bay is producing. That's why when I say, people say, "Oh, baseball's," Florida's not a baseball.
Oh, I take great offense to it. I tell you, I get fired up about it because my family history with it.
Yeah,
like, I take great offense to people outside of this area. They're Tampa's not a baseball down. Screw off.
We had Joe Urso on yesterday talking about your cousin Nico Saladino there. And, he just talks about being able to go out and he has an eye for talent and Sam Militello, his assistant. These guys can find players that maybe some other D1 coaches miss. And they find them and then they develop them. That's and that's what I think it is in this area. It's the coaches. It's the Joe Ursos. It's
there's an art to it. There's certainly an art to it. Like, and even like Nico's father, for example, who was also named Tony Saladino, but he goes by Tiger. Like, I believe he was like a former scout, like in the majors and everything. So like he had he coached me when I was younger too. And like, I'm telling you, like the attention to detail, from what the coaching he got to some of the other coaches you get, completely different.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to switch gears and talk some hockey next with the great Casey Hudson. So we'll take a quick 3-minute break here. Back on the other side, we're brought to you by the great folks at Extravaganza Productions. If you have a charity event coming up, a birthday coming up, any big event, small event, whatever it is, something for work, you want the professionals to do the production, it's Extravaganza Productions. They got a great producers there that have great creative ideas that can help you with your event. So get a free creative meeting. Just mention the JP Peterson Show and go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Back in 3 with Casey Hudson. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent-rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. JP here for my good friend Thaddeus Bullard, also known as WWE superstar and global ambassador Titus O'Neil, or as his kids call him, Dad. I'm excited to share that the Bullard Family Foundation is partnering with Tampa Well Activated by Tampa General Hospital and Revealing Truth Ministries to host the celebration of all celebrations for the real superstars in our community, the Dads. Everyone's invited to join us for a free celebration on Father's Day, June 16th at the Mid-Florida Credit Union Amphitheater in Tampa. Doors open at 9:01 a.m. with food, entertainment, games, and lots of surprises and guests in store for the remarkable dads out there making a difference every day. And you know, if Titus is hosting it, it's gonna be big. Bring the whole family and make sure you register early to celebrate with us at the Superstar Dads Celebration. Now, you need tickets for the event. It's free, but you got to get your tickets at bullardfamilyfoundation.org. That's bullardfamilyfoundation.org.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we roll through on this Thursday. We got a hockey game tonight, I believe. Yeah, a little Edmonton and the Panthers going to be going at it tonight. See if Edmonton can get back in this series as we welcome in our good friend Casey Hudson, who's been covering the NHL for the Believe Network and many others. What's up, my friend? How are you? Saw you on ESPN radio the other day.
Yeah, it's been a wild playoff roller coaster for me, but I'm psyched because we got to talk with ESPN and Sports Grid and VSiN and all kinds of people. So hockey continues for me, which I'm good.
You blowing up. I love it.
I'm working, but it's been good. I missed you guys.
You're very talented, very knowledgeable. It's why we love you having you on the show. So we'll jump right in with your thoughts on this series so far. I mean, kind of what we expected, right? For the most part, the Panthers are really good. This just in.
Yeah, I know. And a lot of people were so concerned about being cliche and, overly giving credit to the Florida Panthers. But to an extent, numbers don't lie, and you're going against a Florida Panthers team that not only edged defensively, edged when it came to goaltending, but I think people forgot Florida Panthers can score also. They had the tougher road in playoffs, and they only fell short to the Oilers for goals for by a 10th of a goal. But a lot of people were never talking about that. They were just talking about the defense and the goaltending and thinking that Connor McDavid was going to throw his team on his back and outscore the Florida Panthers, not realizing that the Panthers kind of minimized the roles of many X factors. Unfortunately for us, our Tampa Bay Lightning, the Bruins, the Rangers had their second line was the top scoring line in the league, and they were minimized by the Panthers. So I think it just goes to show that sometimes some cliches play out.
There's a reason they're cliche because they're true.
in many ways, like they sort of like remind us at least of the Lightning teams like from 2020 to 2022. It seems like what the Lightning were has now shifted to Florida, and that's a sign of obviously the salary cap doing its job and things like that. Like I'm sure Florida will have that crunch eventually, so they know that the pressure's on them to win. But with that being said, you look at the series so far. I mean, game one, I thought Edmonton. Because we talk about Florida's forecheck, I thought Edmonton really took it to him in that game. And just, the Nurse CC combo, which is baffling that they went back to that after going away from it against Dallas. Like that seemed to undo them. But what do you think changed in game two? Because it seemed like Florida they completely flipped the script there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think in game one, you're right. They showed that they can manage the physicality because I think that was a huge narrative that immediately they weren't going to be able to handle it. And I think it's great that they rose to the occasion, but I think the fact of the matter is it's not a typical part of their game. So I think that's why it didn't really contribute to helping them have any sort of success, regardless of the shot attempts and scoring chances. And we've seen that shot attempts and scoring chances don't matter. It's the efficiency. And that's why the eye test versus, performance and statistics all vary differently. But I think in game two, the Panthers, it's tough to give them a lot of credit because we are diehard with Tampa Bay, but
it's hard.
Right. It's really hard. I got to do it a lot. They're not the kind of team that goes in first intermission and Paul Maurice says, okay, we need to force them to play our game. We need to simplify the game and get back to our game. They don't really have a game to get back to. In a weird way, they kind of mirror their opponent. So they have so much versatility amongst their lines, amongst their depth to where like they don't have to go back to their game plan. They come out and show you that they can play your game plan and do it better. And something else that they do very well, regardless of the forechecking and the physicality, the Oilers have no chance to execute a play in the middle of the ice. They're consistently forced to the perimeter, and you're talking about a team that's big and a lot faster than they're getting credit for, forcing a team to have no shooting chances in the middle of the ice, no jam up in the middle of the ice. And I think all of their top players were held to 0 high danger chances through both games, which is wild to even think about.
Yeah, and you watch Connor McDavid play, and his presence is always felt. There's no question the way he moves, the way he skates, the way he handles the puck. But he hadn't been able to score, and it's not to me that much of a surprise because we've seen the Panthers and how they go about this. Can he get it going just because they flip ice and go to Edmonton? I mean, it's still the same guys out there. So I'm not. If they're thinking that he's going to somehow save them, I don't know if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, and everyone was kind of relying on, if Barkov didn't play, then Connor is going to shine. And while he's done quite well at obviously minimizing, you don't keep McDavid out of anything. Right. You can minimize him. I think a lot of people don't realize, and Nick mentioned this, how the Panthers are similar to the Tampa Bay Lightning in those years. The Panthers don't just have one shutdown line that they're relying on, and it's not their fourth line that they throw out there. They have 2 shutdown lines. You don't really consistently see a top line that's highly defensive and can get on the scoreboard. And it'll be interesting to see if Evan Rodriguez jumps back on that top line that he played in for 2 minutes. But that was the Lightning. We had a third and fourth line shut down, and that helped us out a lot because it alleviated our scores. So I think when it comes to Connor McDavid, he's still going to have a large task on his hands. He has picked up majority of his points and clutch goals, I would say, on home ice, and so have some other guys like Bouchard and Hyman. So I know that swings in favor of them potentially performing better tonight. But you said it, JP. I mean, this Florida Panthers team, not much is going to change. And the scariest part about it is they're even better on the road.
Yeah, I know.
Their performance levels up. Their depth scoring intensifies. So you're talking about a team that only gets better versus a team that's hoping to shine on home ice.
And we can't ignore, too, who I think is the MVP of the series. If they win the Cup, he'll probably be the Conn Smythe, is Sergei Bobrovsky. I mean, just especially in Game 1, where, like I said, I felt like Edmonton controlled much of that game. He just made every big save. I mean, he's 35 years old, and he just looks so spry. Like, he's played a lot of hockey, and he's had some ups and downs through his career, but a locked-in Sergei Bobrovsky was probably the worst thing for Edmonton.
Yeah, remember when the Lightning owned him for so long?
Yeah, literally.
Not anymore.
No, I don't know what he might be on that TB12, guys, because I didn't even realize that he was 35.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's got Benjamin Button. He's on the TB12, all the good things for Bob. But I think that, yeah, you said it. He's been tremendous, but something else, and not to take away from his performance at all, what surprised me with the Oilers is their lack of creativity with scoring. I heard a few analysts talking about it, and obviously it's become part of my spiel, but, you know, Bobrovsky's really good down low, and that's all you're seeing in terms of the goals and the shots, not goals, that the Oilers are getting off. Nothing's going over the shoulder pad of Bobrovsky, and you've got the best skater in the league that can't get in there and make anything happen. There was one that came close, and obviously he was denied because Bobrovsky is just on fire right now. But I think it's also how well his defense is playing in front of him. We kind of saw that last year with Adin Hill and the Vegas Golden Knights. You know, a lot of people didn't know much about Adin Hill and his play and his capability, but your defense making it a cleaner appearance of how pucks get through helps you be a sharper goaltender. And I credit that to the Panthers defense as well as Bobrovsky's performance.
Casey Hudson joining us here. Any update that you're hearing from your sources on Stamkos? I've heard absolutely nothing. It is eerily silent. I still don't think he's going anywhere, but until hopefully they can get this done before free agency starts. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know a lot of you. I've got a few people who just every morning I wake up to a new notification on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and it's like, update us, please. From what I've heard, it's not as silent as it feels for us. Obviously, the conversations are still going on, but I think it's more so just finalizing the details of what the back end of the deal is going to look like. We're talking about a captain that wants to stay in his Tampa Bay Lightning sweater. Obviously, with the cap space issues, the cap space going up can obviously help a lot. Mm-hmm. But a guy who formerly took a sweetheart deal, we're going to probably see him get his payout at the back end. So I think that they're just trying to narrow down what that looks like, how they can make sure they secure that back end big payment, because it's going to have to be fulfilling. And the other thing that just makes it crystal clear that he's staying, and ESPN finally got on board with this, guys, thank God. But the other thing that makes it clear is Ryan McDonough. He's not coming back to not
exactly.
Stamkos. Not to mention is that if you listen to the tone and tenor of his conversations with calling Stammer first, like when you think a guy's on his way out, that's not going to be your security blanket to come back to a team. Victor Hedman had some comments that sounded like the three of them have already had conversations that solidify they're going to play together next year. And McDonough just played with young guys in Nashville. And if you look at the pressers of how he ended up making the request to come out of Nashville to return to Tampa Bay, that was on McDonough's doing. That's not because Nashville didn't want to keep him. He was a staple there. So he didn't leave a young team to come back and lead a young team. He came back to play with Steven Stamkos and Victor Hedman. And I think part of the silence, too, is that they're going to probably make sure that they've got Victor Hedman's stuff all hammered out at the same time so that they don't have to go through that eerie drama that we went through this year. Because this is kind of the first time we've had a vocal contract drama take place with the Lightning, and it showed in the front end of the season.
Beyond the Lightning themselves, when it comes to Ryan McDonough and being a winner, we think, of course, of that deal. Not saying Nashville obviously got a good end of it too, getting rid of the salary, but is the biggest winner though on the team itself? You could make an argument, Eric Chernak, because I think a lot of fans, at least, have been saying, oh, Chernak hasn't looked as great the last 2 years. I personally would agree with that. He's got the contract, and people were saying, like, hey, is he potentially the trade chip? But then I see McDonough come in, and I'm like, I think that helps Eric Chernak, doesn't it? Like, because that was when he was playing his best, was next to Ryan McDonough, and now you get the best of Chernak, theoretically, rather than moving him.
Yeah, it helps Chernak 100% because you're talking about a few defensive names that were juggled around to be on the trade chopping block. Chernak was a top one that I was hearing consistently, and it made sense at the time. He's been very injury prone, which sucks because he has a lot to offer this team, and you feel when his presence isn't out there. I mean, it's tough, but we can't have one solid stay-at-home defenseman. And on top of that, Chernak has tried to change his game to where he can contribute offensively a little bit. So I think there was a slight identity crisis there when Ryan McDonough left. So you make a good point. Yeah, he plays better with Ryan McDonough, but I think he's more confident in his role and he's not overwhelmed by his role. I think that that's the thing with Chernak's game is that you cannot overwhelm him. And he was just kind of that sole guy back there. They brought in DeHaan to be a stay-at-home guy, but he even got an identity issue going on. He was playing too high up. He was getting a lot of pucks past him, and a lot of turnovers were coming off of his sticks. So I think the McDonough-Chernak duo is going to help solidify that. And then the big storyline being how big our front four defensemen are going to be. Like now we're finally going to have a little bit more intimidation on that back end once again. And McDonough just an altruistic leader in that sense. And then think of the young guys that get to learn a little something from him too. Radish has stepped up. I can't wait to see Lilleberg just have a conversation with the guys. So
he's going to be so good.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited for more of Lilleberg. Like he blew my mind at the back end of this season.
But and that all sounds great, Case. But we got what, $4.5 million in salary cap? We got to sign Stamkos and others. I mean, I'd love to have Chernak, but somebody got to go. Yeah. I mean, right? Somebody got to go. And if it's not Chernak, you're telling me it's Cirelli?
No.
Who is it? Somebody got to go.
So from what they said initially, there's $5 million sitting there, which is obviously going to go towards the captain. So we're looking at freeing up another 3 to 4 to put him at that 7.5 to 8 something. And the bigger conversation outside of Cirelli, which is just blowing my mind, is Tanner Jeannot. And I think that this is a good move because I think Jeannot still has a lot to offer a team. I was actually pretty high up on him. I guess that this system just never became a fit. And I can understand that for a number of reasons. You're a 20-goal guy. You come in the middle of the season. You probably need more time to get acclimated. Then they needed him to be more of a defensive forward. Right. Then they needed him to be the muscle. And even though he has a high hit total, that's not his game, is to be a defensive forward. So I think that there was just a struggle with compatibility there. So I think that they can get a good amount for, a good trade going for Jeannot. I think that maybe they know better than us. If that cap space goes up, and they get a quality trade for Jeannot, your money's sitting right there, and you don't have to touch Cirelli. It's hard to put Cirelli on the chopping block because you can't get rid of your best forechecker, especially because of how he pairs with Brendan Hagel. Even though Hagel can play anywhere, when we need a shutdown line, it's Cirelli and Hagel that go in. And if you give that up, even though our defense is going to get better, you can't fully rely on this defense to handle everything. We've already learned that the hard way, and teams are only getting faster and only getting more skilled, and you need a Hagel and a Cirelli duo to make sure you can compete.
Yeah.
Well said.
This only tells me too, like, because I'm thinking about who else, like Declare, for example, seems to me like he's so under the radar now, obviously, and he fits so well when he came over, and it was like if there was a moment where the Lightning, the proverbial flipped a switch, I guess, during the regular season, it was really when they got Declare and Dumba to come over, but it was really Declare, and I don't know what his number is going to be, but do you think that the Lightning have interest still in bringing him back, or was that just a little quarter of a season type sprint there?
I think that was kind of a one-off. I talked with my friend D'Andrew Lou a lot over at Hockey News, and she pointed something out to me that I can't unsee, and it was, we know that this locker room is unique. Any guy that comes through here talks about the culture and talks about the buy-in. And while Duclair fit and flipped the switch for this team, emotionally, I didn't see the buy-in from him, especially when it came to him leveling up against his former team. He was just kind of like a little too neutral for me. Like
wasn't there.
You got to be able to flip that switch the same way Pat Maroon can go to the Boston Bruins, for crying out loud, and play and talk about caring about his captain. Let's look at who his captain was. I didn't see that buy-in from Duclair. And I think that this locker room, especially with what they're trying to do next year, Duclair is probably not much of a fit. And they don't need to make drastic changes. They just need to go back to simplifying the everybody in their role, not forcing guys to be physical who aren't physical. Like, that's kind of an issue that happened with Connor Sheary. His game had to change out of his normal tendencies. So I think keeping certain guys in play, really building around this core and not just picking up anybody anymore is going to be even more important and even more helpful. But having a solid defense is going to free up the guys in front of them. And I think that's why it was such a key to bring back McDonough. I don't see Duclair being a fit. I did really like Dumba because having speed on our defense is going to help us compete that much more. But again, I think they just kind of want to get back to what works for the Lightning, what typically got the Lightning in the playoffs and past the first round, and that was having a stout defense, that was having Bassey be healthy, and that was letting your forwards function in their top roles.
Yeah, that's the thing about McDonough. He just slots everybody back into where they should be. And that's the point. It's where the roles are defined. And I think people need to remember that, this Lightning team is not far off. And I think, if you look at every series that Florida's played, you could argue, especially now, we'll see what Edmonton does tonight, that the Tampa Bay Lightning, save a couple goalie interference calls, could have taken that to a few more games. I'm not saying they were going to beat the Panthers this year. I don't think they were. But I think it could have gone 6 or 7. And I think they played them tougher than anybody, even with all these things that weren't in sync, as you mentioned. So I still think they're this close. And the Ryan McDonough thing, when I heard that, I was like, holy crap, how did they get him back? Because let's just be honest. Julian Brisebois never wanted to trade him, never wanted to get rid of him. They knew what a key piece he was. They just had no choice. And, that's alleviated now. So we're good.
Yeah. You felt more emotions through Tampa Bay at the loss of Ryan McDonough than, weirdly, Alex Killorn. I want to say that was the conversation that's never died, where Alex Killorn was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then we kind of stopped talking about it. We haven't stopped talking about Ryan McDonough, and he's been gone for a couple of years now. So that just tells you how significant and of a leader he is on and off the ice. And again, it just comes back to culture. And what I've loved about this team since day one is they don't need the biggest name out there. They just need somebody who's going to have the buy-in, and that buy-in makes you a star. This team is probably one of the best teams out there for, revealing gems or those unpolished diamonds in the rough kind of thing. And I love that about this team. But yeah, they're not far off at all. And then if you think about it, Glendening has another year with this team. He was tremendous, and he's only going to be that much better. He checked off so many career milestones with this team in terms of goals and points, and he was battling through numerous injuries. So a healthy Glendening coming back, that's something to look forward to. I really hope they can secure Tyler Mott. I know some people are concerned he's going to want more money, but he didn't perform like he did 2 years ago. So I think realistically, he knows he can't ask for a large chunk of money. Yeah. But if he's somebody that wants to win and wants to be a part of one of the best cultures, which he seems that humble, then I can see him sticking around for a quality price. And then outside of that, it's what else do you really need? You got a solid top 6 going on. You've got guys who need to take that next step, and they're fully aware of that. So coming into this healthy, you really have all the pieces you need. And that's why the Rangers pissed me off so much, because they were so quick to be like, it's the end of an era for the Lightning. It's nowhere close. No. It's nowhere close.
Man. Yeah.
Less drama, they've got all the pieces to compete.
All right, I got a couple more things. Number one, I need a same game parlay for tonight's hockey game. What do you got for me? Give me a winner. What do you got?
I got you. So for what I've got is for Connor McDavid to pick up a point. That's sitting at minus 530, or almost close to 600 at most sports books. I don't want to put it all on him scoring a goal tonight, but we know that he's going to figure it out somehow.
Yeah.
Bouchard performs really good on home ice. He's second leading the Oilers for goals on home ice throughout the playoff series. Hyman comes in first with 8 goals, but that does include a hat trick versus the LA Kings. So just softly keep that in mind. Verhaeghe, he's not leading them in goals throughout playoffs for no reason, but he also has the most goals on the road for the Florida Panthers. So I can definitely see him picking up a point, or at least over 2.5 shots on goal. They have his shot total sitting so low.
2.5 shots on goal?
Yeah, it's wild to me, as if this guy hasn't been almost top for shots on goal.
I'll
for most of it. This is my bear with me pick, but I feel so passionate about it. Anton Lundell. If you can find him for over a point or half a point or anything in the point column, his line in game 1 actually had the most scoring chances with 6. Him and Lucerian and Tarasenko. And Tarasenko's kind of been a big pest in a good way, kind of creating some space for his teammates. And then in game 2, Lundell came up with 2 assists. And he's got 3 goals on the road throughout the playoff series. So Anton Lundell has always been kind of a silent gamer, in my opinion. And he was a huge clutch guy last year, all the way up through the Stanley Cup finals. So I just feel like Anton Lundell can get hot, stay hot. If Rodriguez is on that top line, there's no way he's not grabbing a point. 3 goals through 3 shots on goal. Like, he's sitting at 100% of a shooting percentage right now, which is just wild. So those are some favorites.
All right, last one.
Bobrovsky to record 20-plus saves and Florida to win at +150.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that one. All right, tell me about the Rolling Stones concert here in Orlando.
My favorite day. The funniest thing about the entire concert is that at one point my best friend looked at me and she's like, "Can you shut up for 2 seconds so I can record a video and not have you squealing in it?" And I mean, they thought she was exaggerating. And then I start going through the videos later, and it's literally like this ear piercing, like how women were for Michael Jackson back in the day. That was me passing out and the throwing up and the crying. I didn't shed a tear. I was waiting for Wild Horses. They never played Wild Horses, but when they played Gimme Shelter, I probably would have almost fallen out of the bleachers.
One of the greatest songs of all time. Yeah.
The greatest. And Chanel killed it. Ronnie is still fantastic on the guitar. I mean, honestly, the only person who looks their age-ish, I'm sorry to say, is Keith Richards, but it's totally fine because the energy was
Terminator
there. Yeah. But I mean, he's the oldest of them all, and Mick Jagger needed an outfit change break. But you're talking about the biggest stage. They still play on a really large stage. You guys know what my mom does, and she was like, their stage is twice as large as Journey's, which is wild. But Mick Jagger still walked the entire thing. But he sounded—
How old is he now? 76?
80. He's 80.
Holy shiz.
Shaking his hips and making all the pelvic thrusts and the noise. I mean, like, I was just zoomed in on Jagger half the time. And then I had to put my phone away so that I could actually enjoy it. And that's probably why I didn't realize that I was screaming like bloody murder through every song that came on.
I know the feeling well.
And I'm sure it was sold out, right?
Yes.
At the Camping World. Isn't that just like crazy to think about? Like, these artists made their heyday in what, like the 60s? Like when JP was running around as a kid. And like here we are in 2024, and we got people who are 70s and their 80s, and they're selling out stadiums. Selling out stadiums. And I'm just thinking, like, how many acts of today are going to be selling out stadiums when they're 70 years old? Like, I doubt many.
That's the craziest thing when you really think about it. Like, who's going to go the distance with what we've got going on now? I couldn't tell you. But I mean, that's also what makes them so fantastic. And I'll tell you guys this. It's not like it was a bunch of, people born in the 60s, 70s, and 80s at this concert. I mean, it was generations of people, younger than me, older than me. And that was probably the coolest part because I went with my mom and my best friend and her mom. So it was a mother-daughter night out for the Rolling Stones. But you're talking about all sorts of people just there to see the most legendary band out there. And it did not disappoint whatsoever.
My 8-year-old stepdaughter, she wears her Rolling Stones shirt like every day. Like, do you even know who the Rolling Stones are? Do you even know? Like, yeah. I'm like, name one song.
Branding, like they've done branding. So well.
Yeah, it's like the thing of music that bothers me is you have all those like album covers from back in the day, like that are so historic. Like the album cover used to mean something.
Yes,
used to mean something. Like the whole for example, like the Pink Floyd album that's historic. Like what is it, Dark Side of the Moon or whatever?
Boston,
that one, like that one, like all the album covers that are all on T-shirts that were like cool to wear. Like you don't have that anymore, so they're just selling those T-shirts still, and they sell like crazy.
Yeah, because imagine what T-shirt would you want to buy today? Like I couldn't think of one, and I still very heavily listen to like rock and all my things, but like they're not coming out with anything creative and completely like gripping emotionally. Like that's why the vintage is still the top of the top. And even
Morgan Wallen tee is solid.
Yeah. Huh?
I said that Morgan Wallen tee is very solid.
Oh my god!
I went to his new bar though.
People's name these days, and I'm like, well, why would I pay for that? Like, I have a Stones tattoo. I'm covered on the branding side of that, and we're good to go. But yeah, branding's a huge part of it. And then they still find ways to keep it involved where you hear it. I mean, some younger people now probably don't realize when they're listening to the Stones, which is devastating, but still.
They do any good covers?
No.
They don't really need to, I know, but
yeah, they do have the newer album, The Hacky Diamonds, which is the tour that they're on. So there was 2 songs that Keith sung from that. Pretty decent, actually. And then they've done collaborations with Lady Gaga, and supposedly something's coming out with Paul McCartney. I know it's like borderline illegal, but that's been in the works for about 2
that's
years.
elder abuse. It's elder abuse is what that is.
You're taking advantage. Paul's sliding in when it matters most.
So what you're saying is some 80-year-olds actually have their faculties and can move around. Okay.
Basically.
Yeah. then there's others that are running the free world.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Casey. Always great to chat with you. Thanks for the concert review and the same game parlay. I need to make some money tonight, so thank you very much.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed. It was so great catching up with y'all.
Thank you so much. It's great, Casey Hudson right there.
Yeah.
At the Sports Case on Twitter. Follow her there with all her fantastic content. Yes, the Rolling freaking Stone. I was trying to do the math in my head. So if I'm in my 20s and I'm going to a concert, so this would be late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to a concert of someone who started I'm trying to give some 2024. The Stones started in 62. So you're going, that's 60 years.
60 years, yeah.
60 years. So it would be an artist that started in the 1920s. If I was in it, like, that's not possible. Like, that's not even possible.
Yeah,
I don't even know who I don't even know anything that was done in the 20s besides, the Depression. Like,
right.
Were there even, I know they didn't have pop artists, so to speak, but still, that's crazy.
It's just crazy. Like, as relevant.
That's like me
today.
going to see Babe Ruth.
Right. And it's what I'm saying.
80s.
Like, think about how many different, we're so distracted as a society now with so many different things, and we're always looking for new. And then you have an act, like I said, where the 2 biggest members, Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, are 80 years old, and they're as relevant today as ever.
Yeah.
And always will be.
Crazy. And God, Camping World. Oh my God. What a dump.
It gets every big event though. Like even like yesterday, I turned on USA Brazil because I knew that they were playing the Copa America warm up. They showed like a big screen or a big shot, and I was like, wait a second, they're in Camping World.
Yeah.
Which, first of all, shame on me for not even knowing.
Right.
But I was
came
like,
out of nowhere. I didn't even know. I'm like, what?
I knew they were playing Brazil. I had it circled and everything, 7 o'clock TNT, and had no idea that it was in Camping World. And even though it was like 90% Brazil fans there, though.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
they get all the big events.
All the Brazilians that live in this area, it's insane.
Oh, even when they played Colombia in DC on Saturday night, it was the same thing. It was like 80%, 90% Colombian fans. Like, USA cannot outdraw any other country in their own country for soccer.
Listen, and this is not because the people that live in this area are they're wonderful people, never have a problem with anybody. But if you I was walking up to the school, dropping off the kids the other day, and I heard 7 separate conversations, just, people talking on their phone, people walking in, dropping off kids, but not one was in English. And some of I didn't even recognize the language. And I'm pretty good about recognizing languages. I mean, the amount of foreign-born people that are here now, we have no idea. But if you look at where we are in terms of the pressure in the housing market, everything, how crowded everything is, and nothing against immigration. Immigration is we're all immigrants, right? But man, you got to control it. You got to have some controls on it. And there's been no controls for 3 years. I mean, they talk about 25, 30 million people. I'd say it's probably close to 100 million. Probably 100 million, maybe. Who knows? The number, we have no idea. And they just caught another 8 terrorists at the border the other day, all ISIS terrorists. And we've had 52,000 people come through that have known terrorists ties. Many of them just released into the country. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And here, but they do fill up our stadiums for international friendlies. So we got that going for us, which is nice. By the way, I didn't watch the game, but the 5-1 Colombia loss was not good, right? And last night was 1-1 with Brazil?
Yeah, last night against an even better team than Colombia against Brazil. They played, pretty well. It was a great free-flowing game. Christian Pulisic off a free kick got the lone goal for the United States. But yeah, it was the 5-1 Colombia game. I mean, that was their worst loss since 2016. And their worst under Berhalter, who's, you talk about a pressure cooker. My goodness, he is he's on it. There's no doubt about it.
There was a lot of controversy when he was picked.
Well, they had the perfect chance after the World Cup to get rid of him if they wanted to, and they just decided to bring him back. And you're hosting the World Cup in 2 years. This is the most important cycle here, really. And this is the best, most talented, I will say. This is definitely the most talented United States men's soccer team that we've ever had. And I think a lot of people have these crazy expectations that it's impossible for this team to reach, because even though it's the most talented U.S. team, it still doesn't mean that they quite level up to some of these really, really awesome teams. There's a separation there, but then again, they could be doing better, and a lot of people just point to Berhalter as that guy. So he's going to have to impress here at the Copa America.
Can you this close to the Cup, can you make a change now?
I really don't think so, no. I think it's too close.
If they completely fall flat on their face in the Copa America.
I suppose if they really, if they don't get out of a group or something like that, they could take, drastic measures. And there's some pretty big name coaches out there that if the Federation wanted to throw money at, now's the time to do it. So they could. I still feel like they missed the cycle, though, after the World Cup if they wanted to do it then. But
I agree.
It is what it is.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back, get some Bucks going. We haven't talked any Bucks today. We got a lot to get to with that. Chris Lugo is going to join us as well. Back in 3. Stay with us.
As the great Titus O'Neil said on this very show, Mother's Day's been kicking our ass for years. It's time to celebrate Father's Day, and where better than the Gold and Diamond Source. The Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of men's jewelry, from classic watches to cufflinks to rings. There's something for every dad to enjoy. Yeah, we like shiny stuff too. Their staff is happy to help and guide you through the selection process, ensuring you find a gift that he will love without all the sales pressure and intimidation. That's the great part about the Gold and Diamond Source. Terrific staff. And remember, every piece does not lose its value. You can always trade up in the future. So shop the largest selection of jewelry under one roof, like shopping at 10 different jewelry stores. And right now they're offering 5 years interest-free financing, which means you can get a $5,000 piece and only pay $83 a month. Come on, Dad's worth it. This Father's Day, give Dad a gift that he will cherish forever. The Gold and Diamond Source, because dads deserve it. 3800 Almerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. As we head into summer and hurricane season, you must make sure that your home is fully insured. Over 40% of people in Florida are not fully insured because property rates have gone up lately. Your home is worth more, so it needs to be insured. Call the great folks at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799 to make sure you're fully insured. And also, you might just save some money. There are new companies coming into the state all the time. In fact, we just shopped our homeowners insurance, and I'm telling you, folks, we saved over $550 because Charity, the great customer service at Italiano Insurance, did all the work and found us a better company and a cheaper company. She'll do the same for you. 813-877-7799. Do something about these high rates. Shop them around. Could save you lots of money. It's Italiano Insurance. Been doing business here locally for over 60 years. 813-877-7799. Tell them JP sent you. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, You want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or try to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. JP here for TryHydrateHeroes.com. That's our new website where you can get a free 3-pack of the great Hydrate Heroes electrolyte hydration drink, all for free. Just go to TryHydrateHeroes.com. We'll send you a 3-pack. While you're there, go ahead and buy the 30-pack for just $29.99. Special going on, less than $1 a serving for all the good stuff, none of the bad stuff. Folks, a lot of these hydration drinks have tons of sugar, tons of calories. Hydrate Heroes, just 5 calories, and they have all the electrolytes in there, plus other stuff that's going to benefit you. A mushroom blend that will help with inflammation. So much other good stuff in there, none of the bad stuff. It's Hydrate Heroes. Go to TryHydrateHeroes.com and get your free 3-pack. The new Tropical Punch flavor is out, and it is fantastic. They'll send you some. Just go to TryHydrateHeroes.com. Get all the information there. Pick up a 30-pack as well. TryHydrateHeroes.com. All the good stuff, none of the bad stuff.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here, brought to you by TryHydrateHeroes.com. Go to TryHydrateHeroes.com. Get your free 3-pack. All right, U.S. Open is underway at Pinehurst. We haven't even talked about that today. Tiger Woods, 3 over par, just birdied the par 5 fifth. Yeah.
Shocked, I tell you.
Shocked what?
I'm being sarcastic.
He just hit the 582-yard par 5 fifth in 2 and birdied that one. But he birdied his first hole of the day, which is par 5 10th, 619 yards. And then bogeyed 16 and 17. Then both, so they had 1, 2, 3, 4, bogeyed 5 out of 6 holes.
Mm-hmm.
And now he just got the birdie on the par 5.
How about lefty, old Phil Mickelson, last place?
Is he in last place?
He is 8 over through 12.
Ooh.
4 spots ahead of him, Justin Thomas, 6 over through 13th. Through 13.
It's brutal course. Pinehurst number 2. Matthew Pavon is 4 under through 11. Russell Henley is 3 under through 13. Ludwig Eberg, 3 under through 12. Brooks Koepka, former U.S. Open champ, 2-time U.S. Open champ, -2 through 13, always going to be there. Patrick Cantlay is at 2 under. Sergio at 1 under through 15. Ricky Fowler, 1 under through 13. Tony Finau, 1 under through 12.
Yeah, well, Phil better get ready because Scotty hasn't teed off yet. So wait till he gets out there. He's loaded 114 tee time. Scheffler, Schauffele, and McIlroy. Which, by the way, congrats to Rory McIlroy. He's back together with his wife. So,
how about that?
So the whole divorced run that he was going to go on was short-lived.
I guess Amanda Balionis wasn't what he thought she was. Or maybe he wasn't what she thought. Vice versa. Not that I know anything, but...
This stuff is right up your alley.
That's so weird, though. You know, they're linked together, and then Amanda, I guess, dumped her boyfriend or is getting divorced or whatever. Anyway, so they're linked together, and then now he's back with his wife. Bizarre.
Yeah, I root for him to be back with his wife. So.
Exactly. Of course, we all do. Jackson Suber, by the way, from Plant High School. I believe he went to Plant. Also, his father is the president at our club at Paul Macias, so grew up at Paul Macias in South Tampa. He got in because John Rahm had to pull out. He's off at 136.
He got in because of Rahm.
Yeah.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow, and he's playing with Spieth and Hideki.
Yes.
Wow.
How about that? So he should get some camera time with that group, I would
Wow.
think.
So Live Golf is the reason why Jackson Suber is playing in the U.S. Open. What a trickle-down effect.
Now I love Live Golf. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, remember he played let's see, qualifying, shot 70-65 at Woodmont Country Club in Rockville, Maryland on June 3rd. So that's how he got in. Late addition to the U.S. Open field is the first alternate from the Rockville qualifier when John Rahm withdrew with a foot injury. Tampa, Florida native, former University of Mississippi player turned pro in 2022. Tied for 6th in the Corn Ferry Tour's Lecom Suncoast Classic. Also, of course, played in the Valspar a couple of years ago, almost made the cut. So, I mean, obviously this is a tall task, but it's just, the great experience that he's going to get playing at Pinehurst number 2. I mean, this is a big deal. We've had him on the show. We'll hopefully have him on next week to see how the whole thing went. So that was really, 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 really cool. Buccaneers, we really don't have time to get into some of the sound. YaYa Diaby talked yesterday. I tell you what, this guy is, he just seems so much more comfortable in his skin and seems so much bigger and faster. I think he's going to have a huge year. I really do. With all the additions on defense, I think he is going to have a huge breakout season. If we can find that edge rusher, that's really what this team lacks more than anything, that dominant edge rusher.
Well, I can be confident and tell you I don't think it's going to be Randy Gregory because if you're looking for the biggest story, I guess, around camp right now for the Bucs is the absence of Randy Gregory. He's not there again today, so it's 3 days in a row.
100,000 in fines.
I have no idea what's going on. I don't think anybody does outside of a few people probably, but I let's just say I don't think he's going to be here long.
I think it's probably legal related. Obviously, he has the lawsuit with the NFL. He sued the NFL for this.
He's been open. I should note. I think he's been open before about mental health struggles.
Yes. He has social anxiety disorder.
So I don't want to jump the gun to it necessarily, but I
don't want to bury the guy. It is what it is. And I think the Bucs, and that's why Todd Bowles like, hey, we'll coach the guys that are here. If he gets here, he gets here. If he doesn't, he doesn't. He's not. Oh, we signed Randy Gregory to solve our pass rush problems.
And he was no guarantee to make the roster.
No, it's a complete. If he shows up and he's there and he can play and he's attentive and he gives you something, you keep him. If he doesn't, he's gone. You didn't invest any money in him. You didn't make a trade. None of that stuff. So you're fine. If he shows up and he does it, fine. I think this is more legal related than it is. I'm sure he wants to be here from a player standpoint. I mean, if he wants to play on this team, right? Obviously. So, but he's got this lawsuit. It's still pending, and I'm sure it's more legal related than anything else. So no big deal. All right. So that's, and mostly, what's going on over there. It's hard to really, I've been reading a lot from the Pewter Report guys about who's, showing what, and it's just really hard to get any feel for underwear football and what's going on over there. But Bucky Irving is flashing. Jalen McMillan is flashing. Cade Otton has made some flashes.
And everybody's looking at the new look Vita too, because he has slimmed down a little bit. And I guess there's an emphasis, and I don't hate it. I kind of wish we would have done this earlier though, before he was 29 years old. Of he's been good, but now we want to get him to become great. As you get older, I think it gets a little harder to become great.
And so, he wouldn't cop on how much weight he lost. Said he actually gained 20, didn't gain 20.
Right.
I think he looks like he's about 330. I'm pretty good with this. Guessing. I think he's like about 330, which is still massive.
I was gonna say they made it sound like the coaches did, like, you're gonna be surprised when you see Vita. And then I saw the picture the other day, and I'm like, he looks gigantic.
Yeah, still gigantic. Yeah, but he looks different. His body composition looks different.
Right.
I think it's going to be if he can get to that Ndamukong Suh level, then he'll play deep into his 30s.
You want him on the field more than just 50% of the time, and the more he's on the field, the better that helps Kalijah Kancey too.
Everybody helps everybody playing. 45-50% of the snaps is just not going to cut it, especially with what you're paying him. You got to get more production. So I think this is all it's all good. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Chris Lugo from Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. What's up, Chris? How are you? Better than me.
Better than you.
Yeah.
No?
I know. We're sniffling over here, both of us.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, ah.
I've taken more vitamin C in the last 48 hours than any human should be taking.
Not
It's probably
necessarily.
eating. Yeah. But I
More
feel
the
I'm getting
merrier.
better. I'm getting better.
Good.
Yeah. Last night though, when I woke up probably around 4 or 5:30, and it was amazing how wet that pillow was. I was sweating so much. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. How the hell does that happen?
Because you're not sleeping with an 8 sleep. That's why.
With a what?
8 sleep.
What is that?
8 sleep. It's a mattress pad that goes on your bed.
Oh,
Helps
okay.
cool down your bed at nighttime, but it actually mimics your circadian rhythm. So it starts off at one temperature. As you get into deep sleep, it goes down a couple of degrees. As you get into REM, the second half of sleep cycle, it starts to come back up, and then it can actually wake you up by warming the bed up. I've had many of my perimenopausal ladies tell me it's been a game changer. But yeah, it's definitely going to help you sleep. And so when you're sick and you're got a sweat going on, like it's going to cool you down. Downfall about that is if you get the chills in the middle of the night, then you're going to feel like you're freezing.
Yes.
But you can always warm it up if you need to, if you are cold.
So now I'm a perimenopausal lady. Is that what you're telling me? Now that's what I am?
Well, if you're going to read between the lines, okay, then let's go there.
Wow. So it's called 8 sleep. I always learn something from you.
Yes,
8
game
sleep.
changer.
Yeah. And so it's just a mattress pad that you put on top?
Correct. Yes. It's different from Chili Pad. Chili Pad, you set it at 67 degrees. It's 67 degrees all night long. 8 Sleep actually has an app that goes to your phone. So you actually will get metrics of sleep, just like I get from Oura Ring. So it'll tell you what's your heart rate, what's your heart rate variability. It's pretty interesting.
Wow.
It will actually tell you, just like Oura Ring, that you're getting sick before you actually get sick, which is pretty interesting. Yeah. It's going to look at your heart rate. It's going to look at your temperature. It's going to look at all sorts of stuff.
What does one of these cost?
Oh, yeah. It's a different price point. I'll lay it as that. I have nothing to do with it. I just recommend them all. I have no monetary ties to 8 Sleep. I just like it. I have one in my house. When I got divorced, I let her keep hers. I got my own.
Oh, so they're singles, obviously, because you can't mix the two.
No, they go. It's a pad that goes on top of your mattress, or you can buy the whole unit from them. But there is a his and her side, a his and his side, or hers and her side, or a my side. However you want to split it, but you can split the bed up in 2 different zones: one for Ashley, one for you.
Okay, all right, we'll look into that for sure.
Look into it. Yes, game changer. Nick,
yes.
get one. Your wife will love you for it.
I need anything to help with sleep. That's my one weak point is sleep. And as I learn more now, is sleep is so much important to functioning throughout the next day. Like if I don't get enough sleep, I'm headache all day, and then I can't function.
Right.
Let's go over the sleep routine stuff. That's a good thing since we're talking about that to keep you from getting sick. What are your must do's and don'ts for sleeping?
Be consistent. Try to be consistent.
TV, all that stuff.
No TV in the bedroom. TV's for 2 things: sex and sleep. It's not to watch bedrooms for 2 sleep and sex. It's not for watching TV. Your mind gets tied into that TV, okay, and it actually will start having a relationship with it, okay, which means you'll get stimulated and you're going to want to turn that thing on and watch something. Don't do it. Get rid of the TV from the bedroom. There's no reason to have one in there.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine not having a TV in the bedroom.
You could.
I can't even imagine.
You could. It's easily. But you've got to be consistent doing it. So getting a hot shower. When you get a hot shower, you vasodilate. All the arteries and veins get big in your skin, which actually pulls away some of the core temperature from your organs, core temperature, which then will cool down the core by vasodilating everything. Then you jump into a cold bed, 8 Sleep. Okay. Right. So when I jump in my bed, it's set at 57 degrees right now.
Damn.
Cold. Now,
cold.
That's when I first get in the bed. Now, it will, once I fall asleep, it's going to go back up to, I think it's back up to 74. And then it drops down to 70 for deep sleep, gets back up to 74 for REM, and then wakes me up at 80. That's how I have mine set. It does have an autopilot mode in it, so you can give it feedback for the first couple weeks. Hey, last night was too cold. Hey, that was too warm. You can play with the temperatures a little bit.
Wow.
So
what about your phone?
I put an airplane mode next to me because I do have a little bit of white noise that goes on next to it. So it goes into airplane mode.
So I do like the night soundscapes or what have you, just you know, for some noise, but it's not far from my head. So it should be. Is there a certain distance that your phone should be from your head?
If you have an airplane mode, then it's not really getting any signals.
Okay.
Right. And then turn it off. I mean, as far as turn off, if you have an Apple phone, put it in sleep mode, right? So no one's chiming in the middle of the night. You're not going to get an alert about, you know, that your Ring doorbell went off in the middle of the night because a moth flew past it, right? You're not going to get those alerts. So it's going to stay silent in that sense.
All right. Any other tips for getting better sleep?
Supplements, magnesium, more the merrier. Okay. Remember we talked about this before. You'll see oxide, malate, citrate, threonate, glycinate, bisglycinate. They're all just different vehicles and get into the body. I like threonate and glycinate or bisglycinate for the brain. I like the other ones for GI or bones. But you should be doing that before bedtime. Poisons in the dose, more the merrier, I think, though. I like a little bit of GABA at nighttime, sometimes plus or minus a little melatonin, 1 milligram, 3 milligrams at the max. And you got to be consistent. This is not something you're going to do start tonight, and it's all going to be miraculous. But if you're doing consistently night after night, you're getting to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock at the latest, waking up at 6:30, you're getting that 8 hours sleep, 8.5 hours sleep. You're going to see the difference. And I guarantee in 4 to 6 weeks, as far as how you look and feel. Rings under the eyes, feeling better. Told you before, guys will be on testosterone. If you're not eating good, you're not sleeping good, you're not working out, you're not going to see a difference. Sleep is huge, especially for TRT. When I'm at drill, long days, early mornings, I'm dragging. We go hard. I'm on T, but it doesn't make a difference. Sleep is a huge component of feeling good while you're on T also.
And you think you should get eight hours every night?
I think solid 7.5 to 8.5 hours is where everyone should be. When I hear 6 to 6.5, I'm thinking you're not getting enough. Okay. And it's something slowly and insidiously that will wear on you. It's gonna play out its role. I tell patients all the time, you're not paying me to think about you today at 45 years old. You're paying me to think of you when you're 55, 65, 75 years old. Sleep is a huge component to that picture. What you want to be looking like, what you want to be physically and mentally be doing at that age of 75. Do you want to look like our leader of the free world, as you said earlier? Okay.
Or Mick Jagger.
Becoming president of the United States is a taxing feat. If you looked at Obama when he first came in, he had
every one of them. Yeah.
When he got out 8 years later, he was gray. Same thing with Bush. Same thing with Clinton. Yeah. That job ages you. You can see how quickly he's declining because I guarantee he's not getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, he is on a daily basis. Look, I mean, he steps, he shuffles steps. He's very flat-footed. When his hands went by his side, he's not getting enough sleep, right? Because the job is wearing on him, really and truly. Sleep is huge.
I can imagine. I don't know if you could sleep with watching what this country's going through. I know I can't. Right. All right, partner. Hopefully I will feel better. I'm doing all the supplements that you told me. I'm getting better. I can feel it for sure. But it's still, how much longer will this last?
Oh, great question. What's the winning lottery numbers going to be this week?
Oh. All right. I'm going to sleep all day. I'm going to watch golf.
If you're consistent with the vitamin D, the zinc, the quercetin, the NAC, the list I sent you, you should be getting better by tomorrow, Saturday at the latest.
All right. Good.
Yeah, you're going to have a little bit of runny nose. It's going to linger, but you should be feeling better in the next 48 to 72 hours.
And this is just a common cold of some sort. No
it's
fever.
More than likely a virus.
Yeah.
All right. From the symptoms that you gave me, it's more than likely a virus, which there's nothing you can do except for take supplements. I get people all the time. I got one of my concierge patients goes, her husband told her to call because she needed a Z-Pack. It drives me crazy when I hear that. Oh, okay. I didn't know you got your medical degree. Where'd you get that medical degree from again? Like Z-Pack, that's everyone's cure, everything. And that's why we see a lot of resistance to azithromycin right now, because the last 5 to 10 years we've been using Z-Packs like they've been Pez candy.
Right.
So
not good.
know when you got a virus, there's not much you can do. Supplements, getting good rest, eating good, and slow workouts, not going crazy, but going for walks at least.
Yeah.
Being that mindfulness.
All right, partner. All good stuff. BAMMC.com is where you get Chris Lugo and Bay Area Modern Medical Center. BAMMC.com. Make the call. You will not regret it. Thanks, partner. Appreciate you.
Guys, take care. Talk to you then.
All right. Anything we missed? Any
We never hit on no breaking news. We never hit on the NBA finals, but that's okay because it's been an absolute bore fest.
Awful.
One of the worst NBA finals of all time to this point.
Luka
probably going to end.
Luka just gets kicked out of the game last night. Stupid fouls.
He was awful. He's been awful.
Just emotionally, though. I mean,
he just won't
what are you
stop barking.
doing?
He barks at the refs when he makes
Constantly.
shots. He barks at him when he doesn't make shots. He doesn't get back into transition on defense. He looks out of shape.
He's out of shape.
He's been beyond the fact that they have no depth scoring whatsoever.
He needs this needs to be a moment for him where he understands that if he wants to be great and if he wants to win a championship, he's got to change his body composition. He's got to emotionally grow up, stop bitching at the officials, and you just can't have a meltdown like that in the NBA finals. And evidently he's done this in some international events and finals and stuff and big games for Slovenia. And you just can't do that. You got to grow the F up.
You have 5 fouls late in the game, and they're down by 3. Like, it's still a game. And he puts himself in harm's way there to get called for his 6th foul with 4 minutes left. And then he looks at his bench, and he's like, you better effing challenge that. Like, how about you get out of harm's way? You know?
You can't do a block charge when you got 5 fouls. Do what you've been doing the rest of the game and just let him go right by you. For God's sakes. Why do I try and stop him now? Yeah. But Boston's been really good. They're freaking good. Yeah, they're really freaking good. But I guess Twitter is not a big fan of the announce crew either.
The whole production has just been the whole thing.
Doesn't feel like the NBA finals.
The NBA conference finals were not great, I thought, from a competitive standpoint, and the finals have not been either. It's just been flat.
Yep.
And the first 2 rounds were so great.
Go watch hockey. Hockey tonight, we'll be watching, and Rays baseball as well. See if they can salvage something. Yeah. All right, partner. Great job as always. Thank y'all for listening. Sorry, we're having a little issue with my Twitter today. Hopefully we can get that figured out. I didn't do anything wrong. What are they doing? I got suspended for what? For nothing. What'd I do? I think I got hacked and they shut it down, but we'll see. Hopefully we'll have it back by tomorrow. All right. Thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. We will have a live report from Omaha as the College World Series gets started tomorrow. So tune in for that. Have a great day, everybody.